Hello, everybody. My name's Phil Orr, and welcome to the launch of the City of Melbourne's Open Innovation Competition for 2020. I'm going to be your MC for the next hour and a half. Before we actually start to go into the proceedings, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and pay our respects to their elders, past and present. Now, why are we all here today? Well, the theme for this year's competition is waste and the circular economy, based around the question of how might we create a more transparent circular economy by better addressing and influencing the ways in which the whole supply chain can eliminate waste. So to kick off what's actually going to be a 6-week long competition, today's event includes some truly amazing speakers to help build our knowledge and provide inspiration to help you bring any ideas that you have, or maybe we'll have by the end of this session, to life. So it's a really exciting thing to do. On a personal level, I was the pitch mentor for last year's competition, and it was amazing, the energy and passion that came from that. And we'll hear from some of last year's winners as part of this session. But just to get us started, I'm just going to share a few little slides, including the agenda. Okay, so just really quickly, this is about the waste and circular economy as the launch event. I'm speaking really today as co-founder and chief mentor for Marketing Entourage. However, Marketing Entourage is actually part of a B Corp family of businesses, which includes Me3, Marketing Entourage itself, and our regional growth project. In terms of Marketing Entourage, we've actually worked with the City of Melbourne for quite a while on various events, but we've also been part of the Digital Innovation Festival. We run startup marketing programs and training. We like to launch VIC and Australian landing pads. We've been doing pitch mentoring with them. And I'm also the pitch mentor for Startup Victoria for the last 4 years now, which we've been doing for love, but it's been fantastic to see how the entrepreneurial ecosystem in Victoria as a whole has really started to grow. And obviously Melbourne has been the heartbeat of everything within that for such a long time. The other part of why it's so exciting for us is that we're also, as part of the program, we're offering, as Marketing Entourage, a pitch training program. So this will be done for any of the participants to actually help you refine and understand what your purpose is, to look at how you can define the problem and then look at how you're going to solve it. So hopefully for everybody involved, whatever that idea is, or maybe a bit further down and you've got your prototype or even a business offering, it will help you refine what you're doing. So just very high level, this is the agenda that we're actually going to do. We're going to actually, we're going to be a quick video from the Lord Mayor Sally Capp, and then we've got 4 fantastic speakers who are going to help build that knowledge and insights into helping us solve the challenge. Then we'll have a Q&A with the panel discussion before hearing a couple of videos from the previous winners. And then there'll be a Q&A at the end, where if you actually look at the link that you've got at the bottom, there is an opportunity to post any questions. Megan from the team is actually collating those questions, and we'll look to try and filter and ask as many questions as we can towards the end. But the plan is to have everything wrapped up by 5:30. So, and what I'd like to do is we'll actually show the video from Lord Mayor Sally Capp to say a few words.
Hello everyone, welcome this afternoon and thank you for joining us for the launch of the Open Innovation Competition. I am delighted to introduce our panel for this afternoon. Phil Orr, CEO and co-founder of the 25-8 Group, and Phil is also our MC. Thanks so much, Phil. To Laura Lee Innis, who is the Associate Professor in Environmental Engineering at Monash University. To Kaitlin Reid, co-founder of Reground. to Angela Hoefnagels, Director, Waste and Resource Recovery at the Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning, to Gungun Saptari Hidayat, who is the Head of Waste Management at the City of Bandung. A special welcome to you, and to my fellow City of Melbourne councillors and everyone participating. It's wonderful to see you. Of course, it's so disappointing that we can't be together in person, but it's heartening to see that we're using technology to keep going with important things like this competition. So, the Open Innovation Competition this year is all about waste. Here in the City of Melbourne, we generate more than 800,000 tonnes of waste every year. Waste from our residents, waste from our businesses, and waste particularly from our hospitality sector. We recently launched our Melbourne Waste and Resource Recovery Strategy to 2030 to really tackle this issue, given that so much of our waste still goes to landfill and only a small amount is recycled. Part of that strategy is that we've set a big, bold ambition to become a zero waste city, and we need your help to achieve that. The City of Melbourne is calling on you, our innovators, our entrepreneurs, our students and members of the community who want to be involved in helping us identify viable, feasible and scalable solutions. We're also really pleased that this competition represents so much of the future, in that technology, data and design will be used to help create the solutions to a circular economy here in Melbourne. Since 2014, Melbourne has been sharing its open data sets on a platform that is accessible for everyone. More than 215 different sets of data available for you to use, together with you gathering information from lots of other sources to go into your solutions. We are hoping that over the next 6 weeks we see some amazing entries that give us a deeper understanding into the issue and how to better inform our residents and our businesses, that provide fantastic solutions for engaging a circular economy here in Melbourne, something that we're really keen to support, and also solutions that are scalable, because we know that the City of Melbourne isn't the only city grappling with this waste issue, and we're particularly keen to identify ways in which the City of Melbourne and the City of Bandung can both benefit from this competition. So to everyone involved, please use all of your energy, your know-how, your networks, and I'm sure long hours into solutions through this open innovation competition. We've got 6 weeks to collect all of the solutions. I'm looking forward to seeing them, and I'm delighted to be part of this session today to officially declare the Open Innovation Competition launched. Thank you.
Angela Hoefnagels, the Director of Waste and Resource Recovery, Department of Environment, Land, Water and Planning.
Thank you so much for inviting me along to speak to the forum today. I'm really excited about this initiative because it represents, from my perspective, a great alignment of state and local government priorities on a really important issue. So, and this is one that the Victorian government released a significant policy on earlier this year, which is our Recycling Victoria policy, which, despite the name, is not just about recycling, but is also a circular economy policy and designed to start Victoria's shift towards a circular economy. It addresses some of the big challenges that we've been facing in our recycling sector in Victoria for the last few years. It's a big 10-year plan with more than $300 million worth of funding to transform our recycling sector, to generate jobs, to drive investment and innovation, and as I said, really kickstart our shift towards a circular economy. Now, every jurisdiction around the world that has engaged with circular economy policy has developed their own circular economy diagram. This is ours, and it shows, I guess, the key idea behind a circular economy, which is getting more value from the resource inputs that enter our economy, and reducing the amount of inputs that we rely on to reduce our materials footprints and improve our materials productivity. And we do that at in lots of different ways, in lots of different places in the production and consumption cycle. And we do that not just as governments, but as businesses, as communities, as academics, as households. We all have a part to play in reducing waste, improving recycling, and getting more value from products. So that includes the way that we make products. We make products that are designed to last, that are durable and repairable and recyclable at the end of their lives. We use those products in a way that is more efficient, so we embrace the share economy. We engage in things like tool libraries and toy libraries and car share services. We recycle more resources, and we design, as I said, design products to be more recyclable. And in Victoria, that includes a major reform to our recycling system to collect higher value recycled materials to turn them into higher value products again. That's why the government's rolling out a 4-bin collection system with separate glass bin and separate food and garden organics bin or service across the state over the next decade. And it's about also the Victorian government's taken a strong focus on making sure that the potential harm from managing our waste is reduced. So a focus on better managing hazardous waste, making sure we have all the infrastructure that we need, managing waste crime, that sort of thing. But what I particularly wanted to talk to you about today is the work that we will be doing in collaboration with businesses, with local governments, with academics, with communities and households, particularly around business innovation and the way that we shift towards a circular economy, including a circular economy business innovation centre, grants to support business innovation within their businesses, grants programs for communities and councils, and a continued focus on promoting research and development into the uses of recycled materials and more products made from recycled materials. I'm going to pause there because there's plenty of other people to talk to you about this theme, and there'll be a chance for questions and discussions later, and I'm happy to take questions on the program too as part of our discussion. So I'm going to hand back over now, but happy to keep talking.
Okay, well, look, thank you, Angela. I really, really appreciate that. So it's great to have a good overview, and I'm sure that there'll be more questions to follow from that. As the next speaker, I'd like to introduce Kaitlin Reid, who's the director of Reground, who actually, as part of my entrepreneurial journey, I've known for a while now. So it's really exciting to hear how things are progressing for you, Kaitlin, actually, in terms of the business and everything you're doing. So we'll just get the team to actually get your slides up and running. And if you want to share them, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me. I'm absolutely honoured to be here from Reground's perspective, but also personally. I'm extremely passionate about data and transparency and the opportunities that a problem like the one that I see is asking for us to tackle this year. This challenge can absolutely be solved if we work together. So that's what I'm really excited to see. At Reground, we're a waste education service. So we are on a mission to turn waste into a resource. And you can see some of our lovely community on the screen here. We're a business that has community and collaboration at the heart. And we design simple services to really help businesses, councils, and residents change their waste behaviour. We have 2 core pillars as a part of our service to really achieve our mission of turning waste into a resource. So our first pillar is our collection service. So this is the one that we've been doing from the very beginning. We've been collecting coffee from cafes, roasteries, and offices around Melbourne and taking it to local community and home gardeners where they use it in their compost to grow food locally. We also collect soft plastics, which is a newer addition to our service, and that goes to 2 local recyclers that turn it into pellets for road base and building film, both kept locally. If you ever see the Reground van or support a Reground cafe, you can be confident in knowing that your coffee won't go more than 30 kilometres from where you consumed it. And that's really important to us. And the other pillar, as you can see here, is education. So we don't believe that anyone should receive a bin, whether it be the beautiful Reground bin or even a landfill bin, without knowing where it's going and understanding the why. We do waste audits for our customers, but also on large commercial scales, multi-unit dwellings or apartment buildings, hospitals and other commercial sites. And we do this not just because diving through waste is super fun, but because we are able to get a lot of really good data to understand waste behaviour in order to influence it and help people change their waste behaviour for the better. Everything that we do uses the waste behaviour hierarchy at the core. So whether we're talking to a cafe about a single-use item like a coffee cup or a plastic bag, or whether we're looking at systemic change like the 4-bin system that Angela just mentioned, which we're working on some councils to help roll out, or whether we're looking at an overflowing bin room at an apartment building complex, we look first at avoidance. And this is what the Recycling Victoria policy, I think, touches on, which is really exciting, is that can this behaviour be avoided? Can it be minimised or reused? And if not, how locally can these items be recycled? Can organics be composted on site? Can we keep the recycling super local so it can be built back into the resilience of the community? Before going through further away recycling, waste to energy plants, and then landfill, which we're working really hard to abolish. A little bit more about the Reground story. 5 years ago, we started and we were dragging one bin from a cafe in Brunswick East to a community garden not too far away. We then did a crowdfunding campaign to help us grow and enable us to collect more than just a few kilos of coffee. We were able to get our van, which you'll still see on the road every day. Well, not every day at the moment during COVID, but more and more cafes are opening, and enabled us to expand our team from 2 to 5 and enabled us to start collecting soft plastics, like I said, and do what's really most important to us, which is enable people to reduce their waste and change their waste behaviour for the long term. What I'm really excited about in this time is, even though we are in unprecedented times and we can see that bins are overflowing. I don't know about you, but when I'm on my daily walk through the park, I have seen way too many coffee cups and dog poo bags overflowing in the local bins. But it also is giving us an opportunity to learn new behaviours, and not just making sourdough, but we are speaking to people that are teaching themselves and learning new behaviours like reducing waste and new ways to do that. So I'm really excited about Open Innovation Competition, and we're here as mentors this year because now is the time to innovate. Reground is a human-centered business that's built on the backbone of data, and we're really excited to see who's going to join us in this fight to reduce waste here in Melbourne and around Australia. Thanks so much.
Okay. That was fantastic. Thank you, Kaitlin. And it's clear to see how things are moving. I've got questions for you. I don't know about anybody else, but we'll save them until we've got the other presentations. But that's really great to see the progress. Okay, we have got our third speaker, just to give a little bit of an intro, which is Lee Innis, who is Associate Professor in Environmental Engineering at Monash University. Hello, Lee.
Hi, Phil. Thanks so much for the introduction. My name is Lee Innis, and thanks to the City of Melbourne for inviting me to this launch tonight and to have the opportunity to talk to you just for a few minutes before we get into the Q&A. I just joined Monash about a year ago after just over 12 years at EPA Victoria. So I thought just to start, I might just bring this up to a sort of a global, with a few global thoughts around the impact that waste is having globally and how that translates into the Sustainable Development Goals. We typically think of waste going into Sustainable Development Goal 12, but when we look at it in a little bit more depth, we can see that it really plays a role in a large number, if not all, of the goals. So it provides a great opportunity to rethink how we look at waste and what we do with it. And in that sense, I just wanted to, I suppose, reflect a little bit on some of my experiences at EPA and now being at Monash, that we can really look at eco-innovation as an opportunity to bring in new processes and products. We don't just have to talk about technology, we can talk about a whole range of different things that are going to change how waste is managed currently. And we can start sort of at the small scale with that, but then as we demonstrate these and as we show the benefits that they can bring, we can then start working with governments to bring them into policy and regulatory environments. And then that will really help grow the potential for these different benefits to be found and used. If we then sort of look at this in the context of innovation and how we can really start optimizing waste management, I think what's really unique about the Open Innovation competition at the City of Melbourne is that it really can start at the grassroots, as we've already heard from a number of the speakers already, that it doesn't have to be big technology. It can really be something that is working in the community, and that can just grow into a larger collaboration, and that can also deliver on the goals and visions of the state or the state of Victoria or Australia or beyond. And so I think for me it's a really exciting time to really start bringing some of that grassroots innovation in, and to really then use that to, as Kaitlin said, bring some of the opportunities into data and collection of information that will really support the broader rollout or the larger volumes of waste to be put through some of these new innovations. And that will really make a big impact sort of at a state level, certainly locally at a state level, and then beyond, as I'd mentioned. So that was really quick. I know we've got we've got a great speaker from Bandung coming up, and really excited to hear from him and from those experiences. I'll be involved in the competition moving forward, so I hope to be able to support some of you in that regard. And should anybody be interested in some more research opportunities, certainly happy to be a contact for opportunities that may be available at Monash. Thank you very much.
That's fantastic, Laura Lee. Thank you. Really interesting. Again, my brain's ticking about interesting questions that we could ask on that and build on it. But anyway, we'll save them. As our last little mini introduction, it's a pleasure to introduce Gungun Saptari Hidayat, who is the head of waste management department at Bandung City Government. So obviously Bandung is a partner with the City of Melbourne. I think it'd be good as well, Gungun, just to explain a little bit about where Bandung is before you go into your slides. That would be fantastic.
Okay, everyone, thank you very much for this opportunity. Today I will share to you about our experience in Bandung, how to manage the waste management, and also the opportunity for innovation idea. This is Bandung, my city. Bandung is places in West Java, Indonesia. We have 2.4 billion population with 9% economic growth, is higher than West Java and also Indonesia. We have a young age generation because our average age is about 29.5 years. And then this is the situation about waste in Bandung. Every day, solid waste generation is about 1,500 tons until 1,600 tons per day. This is the operational transfers in Bandung. The government still cannot collect from the household, but we create some transfer station. So the people from household transfer the waste to the transfer station. That's managed by the local area, usually informal sector. And after that, the government wait in transfer station, and then most of them come to the solid waste disposal. Every day, it's about 1,350 tons per day. The waste come to the disposal. But today, we try to change our waste management mindset, paradigm. You can see there are two pyramids. In the first, most of them come to the disposal, like existing today. But slowly but sure, we try to change this mindset. So only a little come to the disposal. Most of them we try to solve in our city with prevention, limitation, reuse, material recycle, or energy recycle. In some paradigm, we can see this is the concept. We try to change from the linear economy, recycling economy, and today we try to implement the circular economy. It's not easy, but we have to start. And this is the trend of waste management today. Like what Angela and Laura and Kaitlin said, this is the new paradigm. So this is the system transformation. We try to change from the centralization to become decentralization. Centralization is like today, most of the garbage pick up to the disposal, and usually solved by the big capacity technologies like incinerator. But in Indonesia, also in Bandung, we still do not have incinerator. We still do sanitary landfill, but we try to implement incinerator, but we have the problem about, with the financing, so we still to find a solution. But today we try to do the centralization. So the waste treat as near as the source. So to do this, we need the participatory of the people. And also we need appropriate technology with medium and small capacities, because we do the treatment not in the disposal, but in the transfer station and also in the some household. You can see the concept. Yeah. In Bandung, we implement the concept with Kang Pisman program. Kang Pisman is the name of kurangi, pisahkan, manfaatkan. It's Sundanese Indonesian language. If we translate, it's about reduce, separate it, and then recycle and reuse. This is some waste treatment technology that we use in source. You can see this is a simple technology, but it can be implemented in Bandung. This is a pipe composting, and then there are some composter with several methods. We do some small biodigester also in household, and we have a waste bank. Waste bank is recycling center, but it's small recycling center because we can do in community. And this is the new technology. We call it maggot black soldier fly. You can search in YouTube, a lot of information about this. And all of the this is the sample that we try to make a model, and you can see this when the circular economy and Kang Pisman done in that project in that area. We can see there are the decreation of the waste transfer to the disposal. You can see in this slide, this one, you can see this one, they are decreasing. This is some problem and challenges that maybe can be your idea to give innovation for me and also for Indonesia and also for the world. First, we have problem with financing models. We have lack of willingness to pay from the citizen, and also a limited budget from the government. And the second, appropriate technology with small and medium capacity, because we do decentralization. And the third, create good awareness and behavior of the stakeholder. As we know that to do the circular economy, to do the waste management system, we need to collaborate with the new awareness and behavior for the stakeholder. And the fourth is how to implement the regulation. We have the regulation, but it's not easy to implement the regulation. And the fifth, we need to create circular economy climate. So this is 5 most main challenges in my city in Bandung, and maybe in some of the city in all over the world. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thank you very much, Gungun. It's really good, and to actually see some practical examples on there is really key as well. So one of the things, we're going to do some Q&As, but obviously we know that there's a lot of people watching this, and it's always a little bit weird when you're actually sitting in this, but we can't see you, but you can see us. But we really want to make this interactive. So apparently if I point to the bottom of my screen, there should be a link where you can actually post some questions. Either that, or I've just pointed at the bottom of my computer, but fingers crossed, that should work. So please send them through, because we want this to be as interactive as possible. And one of the main things about the whole competition is that we're trying to build collaborations and community, and actually get people to share their ideas and their thoughts. So there's no right or wrong question, and there's no right. Well, there's probably a few right answers, more, and not that many wrong, we hope, from our experts. But the whole point is we're all learning, and the point, we're trying to build an ecosystem of like-minded souls so that we can get this right. So I want to see some questions coming in. Okay, no pressure, but it's all down to you now. But we do. We've had a few questions, and we just wanted to sort of talk about. So I'm going to open this up to the panel as a whole. Don't feel like you've all got to answer if you don't want to. But I think that the main thing, listening to everybody, is that it's about a question about what are some of the biggest problems that we need to solve with this overarching waste theme. But I've noticed that maybe some of the biggest problems aren't actually big. It's like lots of little. But who do you think who could like to answer that question for us about what do we see as the biggest problems at this stage?
I'll go.
Thank you, Kaitlin.
I'm probably coming from the most, I guess, grassroots angle to answer the big problems question, but I would say I would just like everyone to start by thinking about avoidance. I think it's easy with circular economy to think about creating new things that will be kept in the circle, but really taking a step back and considering what's already available to us, what resources are already available that we can use to innovate on. I think I'm speaking from experience. We've sat in front of many, many people when we've been either looking for funding or looking for opportunities with especially a tool that we're developing to help businesses reduce their waste. And it's harder for them to picture avoidance than it is to picture recycling facilities. But I would just encourage that even though it might be a bit harder to connect, definitely look at avoidance first as the big problem to tackle.
Yeah. It's a lot of hidden stuff going on. So it's a peripheral vision, I think, as well. Does anybody else want to build on that as a question?
Yeah, I think I would add to that the importance and the challenge of whole of system thinking. So while Kaitlin's absolutely right, we need to think about waste avoidance and how do we avoid producing waste in the first place. And all of us as individuals and in our work and in our homes can think about ways to do that. We can sometimes get even greater benefits by thinking about the whole supply chain and whole life cycle of widget, whatever it is that we're talking about, sits. And just a tiny example that brings that home for me is we're working with the Australian Packaging Covenant organisation with brand owners about packaging and trying to make sure that the packaging designers understand how the recycling centres work. And one of the chocolate brands, I understand, recently changed the size and shape of their big packets of chocolates so that it wouldn't fall through the trommels at the recycling centre. And that meant that even though previously they thought their package was recycled, it was actually being recycled until they'd redesigned it to work in the system at the other end of its life. And so some of the challenges that we're thinking about is how do we bring together people across entire supply chains to think about that system perspective.
Yeah, that's great. There's a question come through, Gungun, for yourself, actually, just on a bit of background on Bandung. Where are people living? Are they in high-rise apartments or houses or medium density? What's the general sort of residential situation?
Yeah, most of the people in Bandung live in house. Maybe it looks like in Melbourne, and also another city. We still do not have a lot of apartment. Still, we have an apartment, but the number is not as big as others. So most of the people in Bandung City live in a house, but the yard is not as big as in Europe, maybe, I think.
Yeah, that's it. So,
and also in Australia, I see a lot of people live in Australia with the big yards. Yeah, in Bandung, not of the land price is quite high, and also we have 2 endpoint 2.5 billion people. It's quite big for the city with the with Bandung. It's quite big for Bandung. So most of them live in household, but not big house.
Yeah. Just building on that while I've got you, Gungun, in terms of the common waste challenges that you've seen in this partnership with the City of Melbourne, is there recognise a lot of common waste challenges with Melbourne and with Bandung that you see?
Yeah, I believe that one of the important things to create new or innovation in waste management system is how to create awareness and behavior all of the stakeholder. Like what Mrs. Kaitlin, Angela discussed before, to implement the circular economy, we have to collaborate because we need to connect it with all of the stakeholder. We want to learn about how another city can create the circular economy climate, like what I say in the problem, because it can be solved only partial by one sector. We have to connect it all of the system, from the entrepreneur, from the government, from the citizen, and from the community. So we really want to learn how to create the involvement all of the stakeholders from Melbourne MOB. You have an innovation idea which can inspire us to do like what you do in other cities in Indonesia, also in other country.
No, that's fantastic. Thank you. There's a question that's come through in terms of one was actually about data sources to find things, but I want to just set a bigger question about measurement. So, obviously in strategies, you set goals and what your objectives want to be, but you've always got to find a way of measuring it. So what are some of the measurements that we can look to in terms of the success of building a circular economy for this or for waste management in general? And what are the data points that are available at the moment that we can use to do that measurement?
Yeah, we have declared the target in the master plan of Indonesia. The government of Indonesia has declared the target in 2025. All of the city should reduce the waste about 30%. That's the number.
Yeah,
and it's declared by the president. So we translate in our city master plan. So we plan that to 2025 we decrease our waste that come to the disposal. It's about 30%. Today we have done in Bandung. We still achieve this year after we do Kang Pisman program. Kang Pisman is like 3R program, but with Bandung taste, Bandung language. We still cannot decrease the waste, but the trend change. I mean, usually the increasing waste to the disposal is about 10%, sometimes above 10% every year. For example, last year 1,000 tons per day come to the disposal. In the next year, 1,100 tons per day. It's 10%. But this year, with Kang Pisman program, we can decrease the trend. It's about 4% today. So we hope the trend is decreasing again, and someday we can minimize the waste to the disposal. That's our program. But as you know that I believe in other city, one of the important thing is how to create the involvement by the people. Yeah. So that's the challenge. Today in Bandung, in this year, we do some model area. Like we present before, we try with airway. In Bandung, we call it WE. It's a community. It consists about 100 household until 300 household. So we try to implement in a small area first. We do for 8 small area, and after that increase into 12. And today we try to implement in 147 area. Wow. And we hope we can see the decreation from the waste come to the disposal in the next year.
That's fantastic.
But I know, honestly, the pandemic of COVID it's one of our problems today, because to campaign we need to continue, and we have postponed the campaign for a while, 2 months today.
That's understandable. Thank you very much. Can I open the same question up to the others? Laura Lee, I thought you might have some thoughts on data and measurement.
Thanks, Phil.
And perhaps even Angela as well.
Yeah, I might leave a bit to Angela. I think one of the things that we've found with waste is it's typically measured in a volume or a tons per day, as we've been talking about today. And one of the real challenges that I find really with innovation is that doesn't necessarily tell the whole story. And so I would really, encourage people to think about new ways of collecting data. And so we're seeing things like smart bins, where they can collect that information at a household level, or in like the City of Melbourne, where you're going to be collecting out of communal bins. But I'd also sort of encourage you to think beyond that. How might we look at the impact that waste is having on the environment? How do we know whether or not the contaminants that are in waste are making it into the environment and then having exposure pathways to us as humans? And so really looking for a more rich data set to be collected that I think will help not only support innovation, but also help with other programs around social or behavior change, as well as regulatory or legislative programs that will really ensure that we're driving waste in the right direction based on a really strong data set. So I might just leave it there, but just to
no, that's really, really good. Angela, have you got anything to say on that?
Yeah, so we set targets in Victoria, Recycling Victoria policy, to improve our resource recovery rate to 80% of all of Victoria's waste by 2030, to decrease waste generation by 15% over the next decade, and to halve the amount of organic waste going to landfill in the next 10 years. And that's broadly consistent with the national waste policy targets. But I think there's also work that needs to be done, and we're certainly thinking about that, and as our other jurisdictions, including Europe, who's been a leader in circular economy, about how you measure. So given that in order to meet our waste generation target, we need to affect the way we use materials in all of the stages of production and consumption. And measuring that change, measuring the reduction in raw materials coming into the economy, how much we're using of this material to produce this widget, measuring the number of times that we use a product over and over and over to give it longevity, the amount of times that materials are recycled through the economy. Those are complex things to measure. And so I think there's still work to be done to figure out how we measure the circularity of our economy. And I don't think anybody's nailed that yet, but I think it's something that we still need to keep working on.
Yeah, it's a real challenge. There was a question that came through. I don't know if there's the answer to this, but thoughts on how, by creating new products, sometimes you also add to the challenge. So they were saying about taking, for example, the fourth bin, which actually is brilliant, but it also involves creating X number of other bins to put the stuff in, if you know what I mean. So like, how do we manage challenges like that?
It's true in lots of ways. So if you want to move to reusable products, which we do, it's important to know that you have to use that reusable product a lot of times before it's actually better than the single-use product that it's replacing. So when we banned plastic bags, for example, we looked at life cycle analyses that suggested you have to use your reusable bags 50 or 100 times before that's better than your single-use bag in terms of environmental impact. So wash your bags and reuse them. Yeah,
that's fantastic. Okay, I know, Kaitlin, you asked the first one, but you've I was going to say you've been there and got the T-shirt, but you're not wearing a T-shirt, but you know what I mean. Obviously, I recall when you actually, you obviously built Reground, but tell us about the moment when you actually decided to sort of go all in with Reground and say, what was that sort of tipping point for you?
Sure. Well, You might be remembering when we did a Startup Victoria pitch night, perhaps in 2016, I think. But before that, so Reground was started by my business partner, Nina, and I was working for Deliveroo at the time. And I think the clincher for me was when I was doing my own audits on the side of the amount of packaging that the clients or the restaurants that were jumping on board this new food delivery industry, which it seems crazy now, especially during COVID, to think that food delivery of restaurants that we like didn't exist a few years ago. But the amount of packaging that I was actually encouraging them to purchase. And one day I just realized that I actually could be a part of the solution rather than a part of the problem. So I think that was the real clincher for me. And I think the fact that Nina had started Reground and was dabbling in what it could look like, it was an amazing for me to be able to help grow this incredible opportunity of an innovative way to deal with waste. And I think that's why I love and I'm so passionate about competitions like Open Innovation Competition, because it really gives you a platform and a network of supportive individuals and businesses and great minds like we have here on this call today that you can really tap into. And when you are doubting, you can really come to this supportive network that not everyone has when they're trying to start something innovative, especially with a huge kind of challenge like waste in the circular economy.
Yeah, just building on that, what have the challenges been on that journey? I'm thinking about, and the questions are coming in, so the pointing to the bottom did actually work. But as you're going through that journey, what are the challenges you're seeing? Is there any tips that you can put for the people who actually want to have a go at the competition and look to building their own startup, or do they already have it?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think starting on that is really using the mentors. I would say diving into anything like this, make sure you really care about it and are passionate about it, because we've had many challenges coming at, I guess, quite an old school industry of waste management and waste removal industry, being, I guess, two young females with a very different way of tackling waste. We don't even like to call it waste. It's a resource, and picking up coffee in a van as opposed to a waste removal truck. Applying for different codes of the type of business that we are. Every little step of the journey, there are barriers when you're doing something new and innovative in a really old system that you're trying to change from the ground up. So I would say bring a lot of passion and zeal and let it really connect to you and your story, because if it's something that you want to see for the long haul, then you will need to wake up every day and have an innate passion to enable you to get over some of the barriers that will inevitably be there, and bring your curiosity. That's something we bring every day at Reground. And I think in the space of innovation, you need to ask the kind of left of center questions in order to look at things a bit differently to how there are. And Angela and Laura Lee have both identified things that we need to solve as a collective and as a collaborative movement. So bringing your curiosity to this problem and to the mentors available would be the best advice I think I could give.
Yeah, well, there are so many mentors this year. You have got a plethora of clever people who are involved. I could get it wrong, but I think there's 16 mentors in total of people who have offered to give their time. So if this is something you're passionate about, and certainly when we do the pitch training program, the first thing we always say to people is think about your purpose. Now, what's your North Star or GPS destination? Where do you want to be? What's going to drive you? Because I totally agree, Kaitlin, you've got to get out of bed every morning and actually care about what you're doing. And then as much as you tend to work harder than you ever did before, you actually enjoy it. So it's really key. Gungan, you mentioned about having to put things on hold because of COVID. I'm not going to direct it specifically to you, but a question did come through about, what is the new normal in terms of new waste trends emerging? Obviously, we've got a bit of an issue in the local parks at the moment, and less in the city, but is there any sort of trends that we think might actually stay, or do we feel that as the population starts to move back to the normal working? Because I guess there's been a lot of announcements where people aren't going to go back into the offices full time and stuff. Has anyone got any thoughts on those new trends?
Yeah, honestly, in Bandung, we still do in other cities they call it lockdown, yeah. But Bandung cannot do full lockdown because the economic situation is different. But today we still the limited lockdown in Bandung. So I don't know, after this finish, next week will be finished. It will be a new normal, but I feel that some of the new lifestyle is coming. First, of course, meeting like this.
Yeah,
this is the new normal. A lot of meeting done by teleconference today in Bandung also. And the second one, the new lifestyle is how to buy some food and some product. Today we do it online. This tradition is not as fast as today, but today increasing very high. They buy food, they buy something with online. So digital transformation is happening in Bandung today. And the third one is one of the important thing that connected with my activity in waste management system is how my employee more care about health and also safety.
Yeah.
In the past, it's not easy to push them to do the tools, the safety tools. But today, they done it. It's increasing.
Yeah, wow.
And also in other sectors.
Yeah.
The people more care about safety, more care about health, and also.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Gungun. To the rest of the panel, do we see any trends happening at the moment or within this new normal?
I might just quickly jump in. I think one of the things that is changing is where the waste is coming from. So as you said, we're more at home, so we're not necessarily in sort of commercial spaces or working spaces. And that's going to change our data over the next few months about waste generation out of the households as compared to commercial industrial waste or other waste. And so I think, again, this is where some of that data conversation is really useful, because we almost need data to be more responsive, more real time, so that we can in times like these, we're able then to forecast what the impact might be on recycling systems or increases in landfill volumes or where waste might be going more quickly than what we traditionally have, is where we need to wait a period of time to get records from the landfill or get records from elsewhere. So I think that's one of the unique sort of opportunities that this brings, is to look at waste through a bit of a different lens, to be able to say, well, if we go into something that we may not have forecasted earlier this year, how is that putting some of our waste systems at risk, or what pressures is this putting on them that may open up opportunities for innovation, new thinking, new processes, new technologies, etc.
Yeah, that's great. There's been some questions about technology. Now, we've talked about data collection, and I was just thinking back to the Safe Mobility from last year, like the people who won, and we're going to hear about them later. Data was key, not just from a measurement, but obviously it's a source of knowledge, and it's an empowering way to actually create change. But are there any actual specific technologies that don't exist that could support circular economy solutions, or is it about just using the existing technologies as an enabler to actually create that change?
If I could just quickly jump in, to build on what Kaitlin said, I think we've got a lot of people who've been working in waste for a very long time. And so I've been saying while I was at EPA and now at Monash, we really need a new generation of thinkers coming through in waste. We need some new ideas. Many of the things that we do are just adaptations of things that have been done for many, many years. So I think it's a combination of the two. I think it's optimizing some of the things and technologies that we already have, but really get some new thinking in there, get some cross-fertilization from other sectors, look at how we might really transform how waste managed by bringing in some really unique technology options into the system.
Oh, that's great. I think in the answer for everybody is, if you've got an idea, bring it, because we want to hear from it. And I think that's the thing, is that it's so nice. Actually, it's refreshing to hear that, like, let's just bring everybody's ideas and bring them to the table. And I think that's the main thing about this, is once an idea and we can look at it with it, I've seen this so many times working with startups, what starts as idea one actually can mold from two or grow and become a much bigger thing. And it's actually the ecosystem of the support that comes from it that suddenly starts to make it that much better. It's not about doing it on your own, but bring them in. That's fantastic. And we're almost out of time for our little question section, so that I actually stay on track. I think that really the last sort of question that I just wanted to sort of maybe ask all of you, like we're saying about bringing ideas in and what we can do, but, like, what do you think would be is there a specific problem that you think people should have a look at, or is it just across the board? You might have your favorite problem to solve, or it might be just, but is there anything that you go, God, if we could just have a crack at this, it would be great? That's a tricky question, wasn't it? Everybody's pondering.
I think the longer that I spend thinking about circular economy, the more I think that everybody has a solution and we need all of them.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll take anything. Would everyone agree with that? Yeah. There's a lot of nodding.
I might just add, I think we need them all, and we all need to work together, collaborate, optimize each of our solutions the best we can, and really iterate them, find something that's going to work collaboratively together across a whole range of areas and programs.
Okay, I do have one. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to add to that, and I guess to the sentiment of the new wave of business is not being afraid to share. There is a bit of a historical theme in large corporation and commercialization of holding IP close to the chest. But the only way we are going to solve these big, hairy problems is by sharing and working together and collaborating and connecting the community with the businesses, with industry, with not-for-profits, with all of the parts of the ecosystem. And to Angela's point of looking across the whole system, is we're not going to understand what happens at A if we don't talk to Z. So I think that's the best.
So on the back of that, another great question that came in is, like, how can we find out more about what the current waste management systems, technologies are in place? So if we're setting our destination of where we want to be, what are the best sources? And maybe we can capture some of these and send them through separately anyway, but where would people go to build their knowledge and understanding?
I will just give a plug for the City of Melbourne Open Innovation Competition, because there's a lot of resources that are already available up there. Victorian government, as Angela had talked about in her presentation, has just released the new policies. A lot of great information in there. And I think you find that sort of in states and territories around Australia and globally as well.
Yeah, that's great. What are the other countries that we think are, setting the standards for the circular economy and waste management?
Europe as a whole is well ahead. The Netherlands are reaching out across the world, trying to spread circular economy everywhere. They've been good friends of us as we've been working through our policy. Jurisdictions like California also are ahead of the game. But I would put in a plug for the Australian jurisdiction, state and territory around the country, who have been on the front foot on circular economy, particularly in the last year or two. And you're seeing great hubs popping up all over the place that are open for business to help businesses and communities innovate.
Oh, that's great news. Okay, well, we are spot on time so far. We're going to thank you so much to all of you for being so kind to, one, talk about your particular passion or your role, but also to be willing to have that many questions thrown at you. Just to say to everybody who's watching, there are other questions. That's why I keep looking to the right. It's there's still lots of questions that we haven't quite got to all of them, but they're all being collated, and we'll actually make sure that they go to not only the panel, but also in terms of the mentors, so that we actually understand the questions and what you need to find out. So thank you again to all four of you. That's absolutely fantastic. What we're going to do now is actually just show a couple of pre-recorded videos. So the first one is from Sam Pinner, who was actually one of the winners from last time. He can tell the story because that's why we've got a video. But we'll just pass it over to that so that you can have a little listen about his experience and what's happened since last year.
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm the founder of Can I Park, and we were the overall winners in the Open Innovation Competition 2019. The original concept for Can I Park was a mobile app to help people understand confusing parking signs. But over the first year of our business, the concept has expanded into a much wider range of parking services and technologies that will all improve the safety, convenience and compliance of on-street parking throughout Australia. I actually heard about the Open Innovation Competition just through a bit of research after a friend mentioned that Melbourne City Council in particular offers some really strong initiatives for businesses to get off the ground. And I first came across Melbourne Knowledge Week and then the Open Innovation Competition. And I decided to get involved because regardless of winning, the application process itself was actually going to help me spell out and pitch my own idea in a way that would be helpful for me to describe it and understand it and poke holes in it right the way up until now and moving forward. Winning the competition was the perfect springboard for taking that first step in turning the business dream into a reality. So with the overall cash prize of $20,000, we built our first iteration of the actual image recognition technology that our business would be using. We also won a spot on the 10-week Map Velocity program, which was an invaluable crash course in how to build a startup, and I would recommend that course to anyone. We strengthened our relationship with the City of Melbourne, who will be an important organisation for the delivery of our services. And during Melbourne Knowledge Week, we were also able to test a prototype of our technology on the parking signs on prototype streets. And that was great fun and really good for getting in front of the public. Developments for Can I Park since the Open Innovation Competition? Well, as with any startup, it hasn't been easy, but in the year that has followed that competition and after overcoming hurdle after hurdle, we're now at the stage where we are starting to offer services to city councils and other organisations, which allow them to create a digital map of all of their parking regulations using our image recognition technology to collect data from the signs. And this will be the first phase of our business before we offer street asset management products in the second phase, and then finally move on to the image recognition mobile payment app that we'd originally conceived in the third phase. And it's hard to imagine where we would be without the journey being kicked off by the Open Innovation Competition. So I have to say thanks to all of the team who made it possible. And I'd encourage anyone watching this thinking about just giving it a go and applying. There's nothing to lose, and even if you've only got an idea and nothing more, then the whole process will actually help you reiterate your idea and practice the same type of pitch that you'll need to do again and again for your startup.
That's great. Thank you, Sam. And he did a phenomenal job with his pitch last year. Even brought in some signs to show what he was doing in the software. So he was great. So it's lovely to hear that. Okay, what I'll do now, we'll also just show a pre-recorded video from Zoe Conley, who was last year's international prize winner alongside the third place winner, but she had the opportunity to go across to meet Gungun and everybody else. So I will we'll play that video now as well.
Hi everyone, my name's Zoe Conley and I'm the founder and CEO of She's a Crowd. So She's a Crowd uses crowdsourced data to make cities safe for women and address the gender data gap. So our safe and anonymous crowdsourcing platform means that anyone anywhere in the world can share their story. That story is geotagged and timestamped, and then we aggregate the data for insights, which we provide to change makers and decision makers, mainly in government, to help them address the problem in their own city. So the City of Melbourne was actually one of our first customers, and we're currently working with the Victorian government to help make Victoria safe for women. Last year, we heard about the Innovation Challenge through our networks at the City of Melbourne. We were also recipients of the Small Business Grant, which was amazing. So City of Melbourne have been extremely supportive of She's a Crowd from the very start. And I guess, yeah, we applied because we had an idea. Me and my colleague Tess applied. We had an idea to use She's a Crowd as a platform to help improve female cycling in Melbourne, which I, as a female cyclist, see as a huge area for improvement and opportunity. So it was great. We went along and ended up pitching our idea, and we got one prize, I think, from the Melbourne Accelerator program to do their Velocity program, which was great. So we thought that's great. And then we got announced third prize, which we were very excited about, went up and got our prize, and then had a glass of champagne to celebrate, and kind of heard second prize and first prize. And then all of a sudden the Indonesian Consul General got up on stage and announced that we'd also won the international prize, which was a huge surprise to us, and just greatly exciting, I guess. So Tess and I headed off to Indonesia in October last year, and spent a week there being taken around by the government. Just anything we wanted to see, they took us to. We met heaps of people in the tech industry, which is thriving over there. We met the deputy mayor. We met lots of different important people in government. We went to a lot of different agencies and NGOs where we were able to just ask them about the situation over there, which was wonderful. And we had a personal translator as well. So we had a really unique opportunity to just understand as much as we could about Indonesia, specifically regarding gender-based violence and what goes on there. We managed to even run a user testing workshop with the university students over there, and partnered with a local organisation, Samahita, who are now helping us with translating She's a Crowd into Bahasa so that we can eventually scale there. One of the most surprising things for us about Indonesia, apart from the fact that I asked if we could have a bike ride, and they said, meet us here on a Saturday morning at 8 a.m. And we got there, and there were 70 women dressed in pink and purple who took us on this huge bike ride. We basically took over the streets, and then we got to a bike shop, and they'd hosted this huge event for us with a panel discussion, and it was incredible. This is just what the kinds of experience we became used to while being there. But I guess the biggest surprise for me was that in Indonesia, particularly I think in Bandung, the tech industry is thriving so much to the point where I felt that when I spoke about She's a Crowd, people understood it on a level that here in Australia I'd found it really hard to get across, and that was on this level of why data is important, and everyone there just seemed like completely switched on to that. So that was a really interesting discovery, and and as a result just super excited to expand there. I think also, coming from an international development perspective as I do, it was an honour to be invited there, because I often think about how it's much more important that we are invited somewhere to do important social work there rather than just kind of come along and stake our claim in a country. So it's really great to be invited along, and we have great relationships with the people in Bandung that still stand, and we're really excited that Bandung in Indonesia will be the place where we first are able to scale internationally. So good luck to everyone, and I hope that you win and get to experience what I experienced. Thank you.
And I can also say that Zoe was the happiest recipient of any award ever, because she had no idea that that was happening, like she said, and then had the most fantastic time. So it really does show about what can come from actually being part of this competition. It's why I think it's so awesome, because just by coming in with an idea, things like that can happen. So thank you, Zoe, for recording that. It was fantastic. We're going to have a few more questions about the competition. So I'm going to bring in Emma Forster from the City of Melbourne. One thing I should say is the Participate Melbourne website has got so much information on it. It's mind-blowing. So, people have been asking about where do we find information and data, even about the competition itself, who the mentors are. There's the actual open data platform of the City of Melbourne itself. I would definitely say, before you go anywhere, have a look on there, and I'd be blown away if it wasn't actually on there. Wouldn't you agree, Emma?
Absolutely. There's certainly a lot to digest, and obviously a lot of information to go away and think about and look at. So I would say absolutely go and have a look and make sure you have a good deep dive before you submit.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, there's been a few questions that have come through that you can have a go at trying to answer, if that's okay. Now, maybe just quickly, we've got this 6 weeks. On a higher level, how does it pan out now from where we are now to where we're going to be on the pitch night at the end?
Absolutely. Well, so we cut the ribbon today, right now. And so it's open for 6 weeks. And so essentially what will happen now is we have it open so that people can go in, have a look, find out some more information, and then also so that they can sort of do their own research as well. And the last 2 years we've run this competition, we've actually been able to have a number of drop-in sessions that people can come to at the library. So they can actually come in and meet people and hang out and ask questions. But unfortunately this year, we've decided not to do the face-to-face element due to the current situation. So we've got a virtual platform available through Participate where you can ask one of our 16 or more mentors a question. You can fill out a form and ask to be put in contact with one of the mentors, and we can help connect you behind the scenes, so you can maybe have an email exchange or jump on a video call or whatever might suit to find out some more information. So so throughout the 6 weeks, obviously it's up to you how often you'd like to engage with the mentors, up to you around how you go about doing your research and pulling together all the information. It would be worth your while looking at the application form first as well, just to have a look at what we're asking you to put forward. And obviously the judging criteria is very important as well. So take a look at all those. But on the 3rd of July is when we will close submissions. So from there, it's a rigorous assessment process, and we will narrow down to a top maybe 5 or 6. It was 5 in the first year, it was 6 last year. So we'll then have a pitch night, and we'll see what that might look like down the track when it comes to August. But hopefully we'll be able to showcase some of the amazing ideas and then give out some awesome prizes. Okay, but to start off with, it's open to anybody, and it sort of gets filtered down as we go through. Yes, that's absolutely right. Fantastic. So it's one of those ones where we'll just take them all in as they come through, and then we'll assess them and narrow them down, and we'll find out who those top submissions are. That's great. Okay, there's a few questions. One of them was actually, are there any list of sustainable materials available that we can use on our solutions? We've got a resources section on the website. So there's under guidelines and resources, you can drop that open and you can have a look at everything there. So take a look. If there's something that isn't there and you're kind of like, where can I find this information? Do reach out to one of us or one of the mentors and see. But yeah, we've got our City of Melbourne open data platform that's got a curated list of data sets ready and waiting for you to take a look at. A lot of data.vic resources and resources from state government as well. So yeah, definitely have a look there first and foremost. If you're having trouble finding something or need a hand, definitely sing out. We'll see if we can help you find what you're looking for.
Okay, that's great. Another question, construction and demolition and also commercial and industrial make up 76% of landfill waste and make up a multi-billion-dollar industry. Would this sector be the prime focus for the Open Innovation competition?
It's certainly one of the prime focus areas. So we've got 4 all up. So construction and demolition waste for sure, commercial and industrial waste, but also thinking about households, individual households, including, you know, we've got a lot of high-rise apartments in the City of Melbourne. How can we help those residents deal with their waste? We're also looking for circular economy solutions that address social equity. And I really liked, I think it was Kaitlin that said earlier, you know, we shouldn't be thinking about waste as something you throw away. It's a resource. So really thinking about that element when we're talking about sort of how we can add value back to waste, and how can we bring underrepresented groups within our community to help us do that, or work with various groups in the community to help bring the value back and make that circular economy.
That's fantastic. A question about how can unis get involved virtually?
Unis can get involved just same as everyone else. So essentially, we will make the platform available to anyone. So if a university or students or a research group would like to get involved, absolutely, they can jump online and check out all the resources and get in touch with us. But yeah, same as everyone else, jump on board.
And just building on that, can you register as a team as well as an individual?
You can indeed. So as part of the application process, you're able to list out who your team members are. You know, you don't have to be an established organisation or a registered startup business to do that. You can be a group of students or just yourself and some mates that might want to pull together a team for this. So yeah, absolutely. There's opportunity for teams as well as individuals that just have bright ideas to get involved.
Okay. There's a question here, but I know the answer myself, which is good. But it says, where can I access information about the competition? The live's been great, but not sure where to find it. So if I'd say to everyone, it's participate.melbourne.vic.gov.au/open-innovation. That's the place to start. Would you agree, Emma? But it's just got everything on there. And as you click through, it's got even the information on the past competitions, the City of Melbourne's open data, and then you can click on more where all the data resources are and everything else.
Yeah, there's also a tab there around support for participants. So that'll link you through to the page where all the mentors and experts are. Talks a bit about marketing Entourage, Phil, and your pitch training course. So that's a new addition this year. I don't know if you want to talk quickly about what that actually involves and how anyone who wants to participate can actually get onto that course.
Yeah, so it was actually it's an online platform, but it's just basically a course. It's based on a flipped classroom to actually help people and really start to define what the purpose of their business is, what is the problem, how are they going to solve it. So it's built on short modules, short videos. It's been done by my business partner Samantha Hurley. And it's based on our experience working with startups and also through pitch mentoring for all the years. So we did a similar program, or still do a similar program with Arts Trade landing pads, and they've found it fantastic. So we've added that in for the City of Melbourne this year. So that's open to anyone, and regardless of where you are with an idea or even with a bit more of an established business. The feedback's been that it's really good because it does help you define the problem and the solution and get a bit more clarity on your pitch, so that when it comes to actually, when you're ready to actually say exactly what you're going to do, you're going to have as much clarity and have the best opportunity to win these amazing prizes, which I just drop in again. You know, there are so many, including cash prizes, no less than 30 grand split between first, second and third. Map Velocity program, RMIT Launchpad program, the international prize, there's product discovery workshops, and of course the mentorship. So I really encourage everybody just to have a go. Got nothing to lose really and everything to gain.
Yeah, that's right. I think something to note about the international prize this year is obviously we can't confirm that there'll be a trip to Bandung, and especially while our borders are still closed, but we are putting together a virtual program, and we've partnered with the Greater Hub at the Bandung Institute of Technology and the City of Bandung, as well as our Melbourne-based co-working space, 11th Space, who are going to help us pull that all together. So there's still a great element around thinking globally and really encouraging people to look at what the challenges and problems might be, you know, outside of Melbourne. But, you know, when we're solving for a challenge in a city like Melbourne, you can't help but, you know, realise that the challenges that we face in Melbourne are shared globally too. So it's just really thinking globally before you sort of dive right in. And we've actually also got another, the product discovery workshops put together by MoWorks. They're down in Docklands. They've got a co-working space called Hatch Quarter, so they've kindly put forward that as one of the prizes as well. So it's really awesome to see all these great organisations coming together to offer this sort of support. And every year we run this, it just gets bigger and better. So it's really exciting to see, isn't it, Phil?
Oh no, it's fantastic. So I think that hopefully this will make a big impact for everybody, and to help make sure that we can support that. There's just one last question, Emma, in terms of where are the startups be from? Do they need to be in Melbourne, or can startups even from other states join in? What's the criteria?
So it is open. It's called Open Innovation, and yes, we are collecting submissions from all over. So whether you're in Australia or if you're in Bandung or anywhere, we'd love you to apply. That's what the great thing about this competition is. And obviously, the more the merrier. So I think even our second place prize winners were actually from Sydney, but they were solving a Melbourne challenge. So I think, it's definitely, it's hard as well thinking open, because obviously we're going to get a whole range of ideas at different stages. But the beauty of the Open Innovation Competition is how can we enable and create pathways at all levels for all of these types of ideas or solutions, no matter where they are on their journey, to help them fix and solve some of the things we're seeing, particularly in this waste space. I'm personally super passionate about this theme, so it's going to be good.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, we've managed to get through pretty much all the questions. Have you got any last thoughts, Emma, that you wanted to add, or do you think we've covered everything?
Oh, I think, I'm really pumped for this year, as I just said. I think really want to invite you all to get involved. And please, I know there's quite a few questions still for our panelists that were still in here. So obviously I'm not a waste expert. So that's why we encourage you out there to go and talk to some waste experts and talk to some mentors and folks that are leaders in this field, so you can understand the problem space. But I think every year it's just amazing to see where some of these ideas have come, and to look at where Sam and Zoe have come, even with under 12 months, since the competition. And even previous years, seeing where people are moving. So I would just say give it a whirl. And as Sam Tennis said as well, even the process of just going through and trying to articulate your idea, going through the application process will really help you think about whether if it's just a beginning of an idea, if it's something you want to pursue, or if it's a pivot in your current idea that's something that might be valuable. We would love to see it all. So I just wish everyone good luck.
That's great. Yeah, no, it's good. All of this, one of our favorite quotes that we use is credited to Abraham Lincoln, which is the best way to predict the future is to create it. And I think that this is one of those examples where we all have an opportunity to have a real positive impact on our world and the betterment of society as a whole, really, because it will have that sort of impact. So I think I just want to say one last thank you again to Angela Hoefnagels, to Kaitlin, Reid, to Laura Lee Innis, and to Gungun Saptari Hidayat for being so generous with their time and to support this as a whole. Thank you, Emma, for answering the questions. But most of all, thank you to everybody who's listened to this. I hope that's been enough as an inspiration for you to actually get involved. As we say, don't be shy, get involved. If you've got an idea, talk to somebody else. If you need to team up, but let's keep this moving and let's do everything we can to make this opportunity really thrive for everybody. So on that note, we'll call it a day. We are pretty much spot on time, 2 minutes early. So have a wonderful evening for those in Melbourne. If you're from elsewhere or you're watching from across the water, enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see all of you through the mentoring and the pitch training, and as will everybody else. So have a fantastic evening, and thanks very much.